How the pros mix acoustic guitar next on Music Surgery with me, Dr. Bob. It can be percussive and give a track a nice rhythmic edge, or it can be a total mangled, muddy mess. Your mix decisions start from how the guitar part is arranged and actually played all the way through to what plugins you apply. Let's get out the scalpel and get you comfortable with mixing acoustic guitars.
All right, before I show you the acoustics, a few things that will help your mix later. 1, figure out the arrangement of the part, where the acoustic sounds best in the song against the singer. And I don't mean just playing wise, but register wise, where the acoustic guitar player plays the chords. If he uses a capo, so they're higher or lower down where cowboy chords are, find out the best register for the arrangement itself if you're lucky enough to be there on the making of the song. Secondly, use a light pick. Light pick for strummy stuff on acoustic guitar tends to translate better in the studio. 3, make sure the acoustic guitar player has an even touch. If it's a loud touch, make it an even loud touch. If it's a medium touch, make it an even medium touch. Even is better instead of lots of transients and no body of the guitar. Obviously, if you're there at the beginning of the recording, great mics and great pre's matter as well. But this is more for the mixing. So let me show you. I have the body of a guitar and the neck of the guitar on 2 different parts. We did it and we pseudo doubled it. Not exact double. I talked about the arrangement ahead of time with the guitar player. I like to do things one at a time, instruments one at a time, so I can focus on the part, and the musician of that part and I can have a really good dialogue about what we think is going to be the best part. So I don't track a lot of sessions with a lot of people at the same time, because I feel like I get better results with being hyper-focused one thing at a time and one person at a time. But here is the body and the neck of the guitar on the left side. So immediately you can see with this compression, I'm just lightly touching the loudest transients. I'm not smashing these guitars. I'm just keeping them reined in so the transients don't poke out, but it's a nice even sound, because there's a lot of transients in this song to begin with, which is good, which is what we want for this song. I'll get into that in a minute. But also here, we've got some EQ. We've rolled this bottom off because in a song like this, the bottom end of the guitar is not going to compete with what else is going on in the song. What else is going on in the song are these heavy guitars. So they are taking those frequencies. They are running with the ball with the body of those chords and the body of those sounds. So my focus as a mixer is, what do I want to use these acoustics for in the song? What's their purpose? And the purpose in this song is to be a nice, driving, percussive sound in the choruses, obviously playing chords, but focusing on the top end of the acoustic and not the body as much, because in a dense track like this, you're never going to hear it anyway. I'll play you the track in a minute so you can tell more about what I'm talking about. But another reason to compress lightly on acoustic guitars, let me take the EQ off here. If I decide to compress this a lot, I get lots of nasty mid-range and low end, which you don't want on any acoustic guitar because it doesn't serve the purpose. So I choose to compress slightly, just to tap the transients and to roll off the bottom end. And here's both acoustic guitar parts semi-doubled playing in the song at the same time. A body in the neck, pan to the left of that pass, a body in the neck, pan to the right on that pass. So, as you can tell, the parts are somewhat doubled, but not exact. The guitar player and I decided in this song, let's, instead of making it a static part on both sides, let's make it do this a little bit, where some of the picking patterns and voicings are different, which makes it important on these channels to compress one side and the other side separately rather than in a bus, because if you compress them separately, they can work individually instead of one compressor trying to tame both things at the same time, which doesn't give you that nice rub on the edges. So I have bussed these two guitars down to a stereo pair. What I want to show you on this, first, I didn't do any EQ back here on these guitars except the low end dump right here, because I know I'm never going to need that in a song like this. What I did next is I choose to make whatever EQ moves that I need solely with those EQ with those acoustic guitars and the lead vocal in, because I've never understood why someone would just EQ acoustic guitar with nothing else to really reference it from. Now, if there's a huge problem area, I could see dumping that out, but everything to every song I ever do points to the lead vocal. Maybe not the bass guitar, certainly the top end of the kick, the top end of the drums, the top end of the guitars, the top end of the acoustic guitars, the top end of the background vocals, the top end of the keyboards. So I always choose to make my EQ moves with the acoustic guitar with just the vocals and the acoustic guitar playing, so I know that I'm not getting in the way of the vocals. So someday it'll all be in the review. I've dumped this out because let me reverse this, and you can hear how this frequency is right in the way of her vocal frequencies. Someday it'll all be in the review. Someday it won't burn like it used to, or go up in smoke like your heart was never broke. Yeah, someday it'll be just another memory. Someday he won't have to be the enemy. Take a deep breath, it's okay to be a mess. So if I dump this out, it's a much clearer sound with the acoustics next to the vocal. Someday it'll all be in the review. Someday. Same with this top end. Let's mess around with this and find out the sweet spot against her vocal. Someday it'll all be in the review. Someday. That's in her way. Someday it'll all be in the review. Someday it won't burn like it used to. Nice. Next, a new compressor that a viewer told me about. I've seen this for years, never used it. But this thing is fantastic on acoustic guitars. It's probably fantastic on other things too, but this is the only thing yet that I've used it on that I feel comfortable showing this to you. I've also been using the split EQ, and this is probably fantastic for this too, but I'm not comfortable with it enough in my workflow to show you. I'll show that to you in another video when I'm comfortable. I started on this with a preset called Thick Picking, and I'm barely touching it.
Someday it'll all be in the rear view.
Just a few of those transients. Now, the cool thing about this one is this stuff down here is amazing. Listen to this dark and hi-fi timbre. Crystal clear. Amazing. Also, this drive button. Adding a little more grit to the not ugly grit, just some cool grit. Next, this is pretty much like a stereo chorus. I'm just using some widening and some thickening. Here's how it sounds overdone. It's just pretty. It's just nice. It spreads. It makes it a little bit thicker, but it's so subtle you probably never really hear it in the track, but you might feel it in a track. I always love doing that. Next, you never quite think of maybe a de-esser on anything else but a vocal, but I found that on acoustic guitars you can find the spot that's the ugliest part of the transient and dip that out. Here I found it's around 6,700. The transient up around 8,000, especially 10,000 was kind of sweet and pretty. So when I play this, you'll see that it's just, again, another thing hitting those transients, kind of not keeping them down level-wise, but keeping them down frequency-wise, that in turn will sound like level-wise. I feel like we're really controlled now. We've really got things in a nice box. Sometimes I use some imaging at the end just to spread it out further away from the lead vocal. Nice. Again, subtle, but it definitely pushes it out to the sides, so the sides ring a lot more. Away from the vocal, away from the snare, away from the middle information. Now, back to one thing I said earlier. It's important to decide at the beginning of the song what the purpose of the acoustic guitar is. Let me play you the song so you can hear the other things in the mid-range and the low range that are in the song that an acoustic guitar mid-range and low range would never compete with in a song like this. That's not why that's why we're not using and utilizing the body and the warmth of the acoustic. We're using it more as a percussion instrument to drive.
Someday it'll all be in the rear view. Won't have to be the enemy. Take a deep breath. It's okay to be a mess. You're going. Someday it'll all be in the rear view. Someday it won't burn like it used to. All go up in smoke like your heart was never broke. Yeah. Someday it'll be just another memory. Someday it won't have to be the enemy.
So there you go. Nice and controlled, bright, sparkly, percussive, out of the way of other things where their mid-range and their low end mean more. I think we've accomplished our mission at making the acoustics sound good by themselves in the track, but also their mission in the track not to cover up the vocals or anything else.
Well, there you go. There are a few steps to this, but in general, less is more with acoustics. Get comfortable with this process or make an acoustic guitar template in your DAW and your acoustics will be golden every time. Hey you guys, we've got cheap and free crap for you. Sumner, put the right script up there. Come on, man. I'm trying to get... Hey guys, please take time to subscribe and ring the bell below to notify you of new surgeries. Also take a look around in my store for some great cheap and free stuff. And one last thing, the Doctor's Lounge is open and in full swing. Come on, join us, get some amazing samples, stems, or one-on-one mix, production, or music advice. This is a really cool and super affordable thing, so check it out and see if it's for you. All the links are below in the description of this video. Thanks a lot. Now, I realize this acoustic guitar approach is more for a dense track. A more open acoustic guitar approach for a sparse track is a bit different approach. More on that in another video in the near future. That's it for this week. Thanks as always for watching. Don't forget to leave some comment love below or hit the like button. Drop me a hello if you want at drbobmusicsurgery@gmail.com. And above all, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you the next time the doctor's in.